up? Tommy Riot here. Let's do the Riot Studios tour. Come on inside. First, we got actually this double door that I built. You can see the second wall, the little gap. You know, you gotta be careful for the neighbors. All right. Now, let me just close this other door. So we got the airlock going here. Oh, yeah. Sealed in, secluded. You hear that? Yeah, it's quiet now. Way less reverb on the voice compared to in the hallway because of all this sonopan that I put up here, this foam underneath here, and then right away you see it, the Manly reference cardioid, my favorite vocal mic, the main mic at the studio that we use for all the vocals. This is where a lot of that goes down, and I try and keep this area for the vocals really big and open and feeling nice to not be claustrophobic, not be locked in on a booth, because vocal booths sometimes struggle to have the right kind of airflow, so I kind of like to just have it open. Anyways, I got a ribbon mic here, sometimes doing some trumpets. That actually sounds amazing to have a darker vibe. This is a vintage Music Man amp. This one sounds kind of like a Fender amp, but a little more aggressive in the mid-range, and just had it serviced and sounding very nice. In here we got some microphones that I actually modified myself. This one I took out some of the metal mesh inside, and I also replaced some of the capacitors and gave it different values to play with the darkness of the microphone. This one was also quite muffled, and I opened it up, and this AKG capsule inside there, as you can see, is really shiny and gold and quite clean sounding. You gotta have a couple of 57s. These Audio-Technica 4033s were a family heirloom. My dad used to record on these when he was doing stuff in the 90s. And we got an Audix. We got the Shure 55. Everybody loves a vintage mic for a music video. This Electro Voice vintage. This one is unmarked. I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds even better than the Shure 55. I think this mic sounds freaking amazing. Audix clip-ons for drums. Looks beat up, but this thing sounds really good. And then also I got the blue mic. I got the U87 clone. With guitar amps, a lot of the time I like to record with plugins in the box, but also sometimes you really want that authentic vintage sound, and this one here sounds a lot like a Fender, but a little bit more bitey in the mid-range. It's really great and has the spring reverb. Also over here we got this old Marshall. This looks somewhat like a 1974, except this input knob was actually added, and there's a whole other different circuit in there. It was soldered together with guitar strings by whoever modified it. Very strange, but it sounds amazing, and I've shot it out amongst some of the other great Mesa Boogie amps, all sorts of different stuff, and this one sounds super good. All right, now we're in my control area. This is where I sit and do all my mixing and mastering, and this desk is just awesome for not only showcasing everything, but deflecting the sound and not letting it bounce into your ears. When you have a flat desk, the sound bounces right back up into your ear, but when it's angled like this, the sound actually deflects lower, and I found that with this shape, it sounded better when I was sitting in the mix position. Here we got the main stuff that I record through, the preamps, the channel strips. The Manly core gets a lot of use on vocals. I love its forward sound while being kind of smooth at the same time. The Acme Opticom, that's a really amazing piece too. It's got 4 tubes in it and just sounds like butter, smooths everything, compresses really fast. Very much like a Fairchild or an LA2A. The 1176, everyone knows it's a classic. This one is really special because when you pull out on this knob here, you actually engage a tube output stage when the 1176 is normally a solid state device. This ends up sounding really, really good on low frequency elements like the bass and the kick drum. Here we got the mastering section. We got the Airfield, which is a rare stereo compressor made here in Toronto. Airfield is one of the few companies that has manufactured gear from Toronto. And then on top of that, I have the Dangerous music compressor. That's a clean VCA compressor and it sounds amazing. I've shot it out against the SSL G-Bus compressor before, and I really felt like the Dangerous had a lot more capability and tone sculpting with the internal side chains, the soft knees, the smart dynamics. It's really impressive what it can do, and in combination with the Airfield, which is a unique compressor that allows you to change between the two different output transformers, because you have the T1, which are Jensen, and the T2, which are the Soders. And then we have the patch bay here. We have this old DBX compressor that does the smash thing that I just love the sound of vintage DBX compression. The Ampex 600 was something that Ampex was really proud of. It was one of their crown jewels, and in the design it used pentode tubes, which are associated with a different kind of tone than 12AX7 triode tubes. The pentodes are a little bit more aggressive and grainy, and that's one of the signature things with a Fairchild compressor or some other classic units. The level lock here, that has a very distinctive, distorted sound. Tame Impala's used this. A lot of people have used this. I really like it on drums and bass and just demolishing things. Also, when you want to talk about demolition, these vintage big muffs that have germanium transistors from back in the day just sound on a different level to me than a lot of the newer germanium transistors. And that is probably for a good reason, because they changed environmental standards of manufacturing and that impacted the tone of some of the devices. This pedal is like kind of like a preamp. It's really cool. This tube screamer is a classic sound to have. You gotta have a wah. MIDI controller, the weighted MIDI controller here for the keyboard players that want that real feel. This guitar here was actually my dad's first guitar, and I got it fixed up recently with a new neck and everything like that. All these old stickers, so it's been in the family for a long, long time. The 7-string guitar for getting heavy, the nylon string for bringing in those beachy vibes. I love a Strat. That's got to be my favorite to play. I love the bite of a Strat and the way that it has a dynamic and bright sound. The Taylor acoustic, I played a lot of guitars, and this one just had a nice warm round tone that I could get behind. This bass is very interesting because it has mutes down at the bottom, so you can kind of get a dead sound because of that felt in there. This Carvel is really awesome. I always wanted a jazz 5-string bass for the punch and the clarity, but this one has a little bit of a thinner neck, which makes it really nice to play. When it comes to speakers, the Yamahas have been with me for a while. I've always used them when I've been around at other studios, so for me, the familiarity and the accessibility of that sound really helps it translate for me in terms of what I'm used to hearing and also what consumers out there are going to listen to on. But I gotta say, having a subwoofer makes a big difference for me. The brain of the studio, I got the merging. This is a really amazing interface, and when I switched from a Mo2 to the merging, I was really surprised at how much I was missing out on fidelity-wise for all those years. I usually record in 96K, and this unit here, even though it's only one rack space, it actually has 16 digitally controlled preamps in it that are really clean and so transparent. When I used them on drum overheads, I heard a clarity that I've never heard before. It was like there wasn't any mics on the kit. It was really amazing. And yeah, so that's Riot Studios here. That's a bunch of my gear. I hope you enjoyed the long tour, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. There's lots more content coming, and I hope that I see you and hear from you soon. Cheers. Riot Studios out.